Hi class, it's me, Kevin Teacher. I hope you're having a quality time with your family, with your friends. We're on Hwaryong textbook page 80 and we'll be working on this together. Make sure you take out your Hwaryong textbook and turn to page 80 and watch this video to finish the missions all together. This Wednesday, remember we will be having 모의고사 in class, so we will not be having a Hwaryong time assigned for our class this Wednesday. That's why I'm making this class video separately, especially for our class. So let's go ahead and do this together. Page 80. So last time we read this entire article on the idea of thinking about different cultures and studying abroad and things like that. So, main idea number 1. What is the main idea of the article? Yes, it is nonverbal language is an important part of intercultural communication. Detail 2. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a low context culture? Answer is B. People value forming relationships with others. 3. What does the author mean by a broad spectrum of cultures? Answer is B. Some cultures contain the characteristics of both high context and low context cultures. 4. Which of the following correctly describes the meaning of the gestures in each country? Only one thing is true. Answer is C. Some African countries use a thumbs up sign as a nonverbal insult. Insult, is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's a bad thing. 5. What can be inferred from the article? Answer is A. Common gestures we use can be offensive in some other cultures. Let's expand our ideas. As you read the article, each country or culture has its specific characteristics. The farther the distance between the countries, the more differences we can find. What kind of cultural differences do we have compared to the countries far away from our country? Give one example with specific details. So do some research and finish this page and come to class on Wednesday. Excuse me. Teacher's answer is, our culture is definitely different from Western cultures. The biggest difference is that we are a high context culture, while most Western cultures are low context. We deliver a lot of messages non-verbally, such as with our tone, gestures, and facial expressions, whereas Western cultures generally communicate messages directly with language. Now make sure you do some research and write it and meet on Wednesday. 2. There are many factors that make each country's culture develop differently, such as climate, location, and religion. How do these factors affect the way our culture has formed and developed? Pick one factor and provide reasons to support your answer. For example, climate shapes almost every aspect of people's lives. It determines what people eat, how they dress, how they communicate, and much more. For example, many of the hottest regions around the globe have a tradition of eating spicy food. Well, that is because eating spicy food induces sweating, which helps body cool down. Now, think about how Korean culture developed and things like that. You can talk about different country too. Writing strategies. Now, the features of problem solution writing is very different from what we learned last time. It describes a problem and why it needs to be solved. It explains the best possible solution and intends to convince the readers. It uses mostly the second person point of view, you or we. There are 3 parts of a problem solution writing. A is introduction. In the introduction, it gives some background information about the problem. We'll talk about how it developed, how it affects the world, and why it needs to be solved. And we'll also get readers to get ready for the problem and solutions that will be discussed in the coming paragraphs. For the body paragraph, describe each problem and solution, and we'll give details and examples about the problem, and we're going to talk about one or more solutions to those problems. And we can make our solutions more convincing by adding related facts, examples, or evidence. That's body. Third part of the problem solution writing is called conclusion. So there are introduction, body, and conclusion. For the conclusion, we'll emphasize the importance of your solutions and encourage the readers to take action. You can also talk about how adopting your solutions will positively change the situation. In this paragraph, we'll underline the sentence stating the problem and circle the sentence stating the solution. One of the biggest global issues that needs to be addressed is obesity. Obesity has become a major health issue around the globe. While the problem was most common in the Western countries, it is now a global epidemic. The leading cause of the problem is unhealthy eating habits. Therefore, one solution would be to make healthy food and beverage options more accessible to everyone. So the problem here is the obesity has become a major health issue around the globe. We need to underline that. And the solution is right here. Therefore, one solution would be to make healthy food and beverage options more accessible to everyone. Now, let's talk about common types of supporting details. First is A, description. You can say something is the best thing to do because. Describe the advantages of your solution in detail. We'll explain why your solution will work the best. B, we're going to talk about plan. First, we should. By doing so, we'll provide a specific plan for how the solution should be carried out. Then, let's talk about evidence. According to somebody, according to some study, it is something. We'll give evidence that your solution will be effective. It should include real-life examples, expert opinions, or statistics. Now, the outcome. If we do something, we will do something. Explain how the situation will change positively when your plan is carried out. Now let's exercise. Which of the following is not an example of an evidence supporting detail? Now, the letter C is the person's opinion, so it's not an evidence. Evidence should be based on facts. 2. Which type of supporting detail would you use to explain the advantages of following your solutions? Of course, A, descriptions, because you're going to explain the advantages of following your solutions. You're going to have to describe it. Let's learn from the student model. Title says, Identifying Barriers to Effective Intercultural Communication. Very good writing. You need to write just like this. Notice how there is a good title. Every beginning letter of the word is capitalized. Also, nice indentation at the beginning of every paragraph. And let's read it. In our rapidly globalizing world, there are plenty of opportunities to speak to people from different backgrounds. The need for effective cross-cultural communication is higher than ever. But intercultural communication is not easy, and we have many challenges to overcome. Introduction. One of the biggest challenges is assumption. We often assume that the other person has the same way of life as we do. For example, we expect them to act in a certain way and feel disappointed when they do not. In order to prevent such misunderstandings, we need to stop assuming that our way of life is universally correct. Another is our lack of exposure to diversity. We can't gain cross-cultural skills naturally. So people who don't devote their time to studying other cultures lack knowledge about how to communicate with people from other cultures. To be effective cross-cultural communicators, we need to put effort to learn about different cultures and frequently expose ourselves to them. Last is our impatience. When we interact with people from other backgrounds, we're quick to realize our differences. Although we try to get our messages across in the beginning, we often give up quickly. We must never stop ourselves from recognizing our similarities and building good relationships with people from other cultures. After all, we're all the same as human beings, and we all want to have a happy conversation. Cross-cultural communication is surely challenging, But if we try to appreciate diversity and patiently work towards accepting each other, we can overcome our cultural barriers. So, yes, very nice ending. In the introductory paragraph, the writer tries to grab the reader's attention by, yes, bringing up a current issue. 2. What is the purpose of this essay? C. To explain ways to improve communication with people from other cultures. 3. According to the writer, how can we gain cross-cultural skills? We need to put effort to learn about different cultures and frequently expose ourselves to them. Make sure you check them. 4. According to the writer, why do people often quickly give up on getting their messages across to people from other cultures? A. Because they're not patient enough to find common ground. 5. Which of the following did the writer not mention as a barrier to effective cross-cultural communication? C. We do not have many similarities with people from other cultures was not mentioned. Now, let's begin our next chapter. Look at these pictures. Let's write about why might the people in each picture have a difficult time communicating? What can they do to overcome this and communicate more effectively? My answer is, the two people staring at the phones should just put their phones away and focus on each other. Sometimes technology can be a big barrier to effective communication. Now, have you ever experienced miscommunication with another person? What happened? Well, my friend and I were working on a class project together recently, and I misunderstood what she wanted me to do for it. So when we met to put our work together, we were missing some important things. What about you? What tip would you give your friend to avoid miscommunication in the future? I would tell my friend to confirm everything. So if you think you might not understand, you can try explaining what you think they said back to them first. That way, you can make sure that you understood everything correctly. What's your opinion? Now let's finish this page and check your answers. Number 1, to stop someone from doing something, it's interrupt. 2, surprising because it was not planned or anticipated, it is unexpected. 3, to stop for a short period of time, that is pause. 4, having or showing respect, that's respectful. 5, an act of believing without definite proof is assumption. 6, to form an opinion about is judge. 7, an act of declining to accept something, it is refusal. 8, to arrange something in order, organize. 9, a feeling of not being sure, it is doubt. 10, of a person's place of birth, that is native. Now let's finish this part and check the answers. Number 1, I always try to be careful about how I phrase my words. 2, your presence made me feel at ease. 3, when the soup boils, lift the lid slightly. 4, his sincerity finally changed the minds of the electors. 5, I don't mean to rush you, but you only have 1 hour to finish it. Now let's match each phrase in A with the correct one in B. Then we will rewrite the sentence below. Number 1, if someone looks like they're confused or missing the point, you can ask questions to make sure they understand. 2, a firm handshake is a common and respectful greeting in many Western cultures, but could cause offense elsewhere. 3, if you are going to have an important meeting with someone from another country, spend some time learning about their cultural norms. 4, when discussing a very important point, it can be useful to repeat it using easy words. There you go. Make sure you write them neatly. D, based on the definition given, make your own sentence for each word. Then share your sentence with me. Acceptable is an adjective meaning morally or socially allowed. In school, children learn what is acceptable and what is not. Process can be used as a noun and a verb. As a verb, it means to deal with something. The computer needs some time to process the data. Humor is a noun, meaning a quality that makes people laugh. His stories are always full of wit and humor. The word misplaced is a verb, meaning to put in the wrong place. Some of the documents have been misplaced by mistake. Now let's take a look at our reading. Whether you are a member of the international business community, a political leader, or simply a tourist, good communication is the key. But sometimes it is necessary to work with someone from a very different background that you may not fully understand. This can lead to unexpected communication problems, so it is important to be prepared. Here are some tips to help you communicate effectively with people from other cultures. Don't make assumptions. Actions that are common in your culture may not be acceptable elsewhere. You should never assume that a normal custom, for example, a firm handshake is a common and respectful greeting in many Western cultures, but could cause offense elsewhere. When in doubt, follow their lead. What does it refer to? It is necessary to work with someone from a very different background that you may not fully understand. The word it is in Korean something called 가주어. It does not have any meaning. The real meaning behind it will come after the word to. 5 main ideas. Based on the text, which of the following best fits in the blank? You should never assume that a normal custom carries the same meaning for the person you are meeting. That is right. Do plenty of research. If you're going to have an important meeting with someone from another country, spend some time to learn about their cultural norms. What should you wear to such a meeting? How should you greet them? By showing that you understand their culture, you will put them at ease. They will appreciate your effort, and the meeting will go much more smoothly. Slow down. You might be speaking to someone in a language that is not native to them. Don't speak too quickly and use simple, common words. Make sure you express your thoughts in an organized way that is easy to follow and understand. When discussing a very important point, it can be useful to repeat it using slightly different words. And if someone looks like they are confused or missing the point, you can ask questions to make sure they understand. Now, find a word or a phrase that is grammatically used in the text and correct it. Here, if you're going to have an important meeting with someone from another country, spend some time learning. We don't say spend some time to learn. What does the underlined sentence mean? Here, put them at ease. You will make them feel comfortable. Check details. Which of the following is not good advice when speaking to a non-native speaker? Yes, C, stop speaking when the person looks confused is not going to help. Be careful not to talk too much. Pause often, giving the other person plenty of time to process your words or add their own thoughts. When another person is speaking, do not interrupt them. Be patient and let them express themselves fully without feeling rushed. Avoid yes or no questions. In some cultures, it is rude to make a direct refusal. In others, if the answer is no, it should be stated loud and clear. To avoid misunderstandings, think about how you phrase your questions. Ask questions that require detailed or specific answers. For example, don't ask, "Can we meet again tomorrow?" Instead, ask, "When's the best time for our next meeting?" Based on the text, the best sentence that fits in the blank is right here. Simplify or let others, let others speak. Learn vocab in context. Which word has the closest meaning to the underlying word phrase? Phrase is to express. Don't make jokes. Humor is very something, even between people of the same culture. One person might think something is very funny, but someone else might get offended by the same joke. It is even harder to judge humor across cultures. Is it better to speak sincerely rather than risk offending someone with a misplaced joke. Next time you meet someone from a different culture, try these useful tips. Don't be afraid to ask questions and always be willing to laugh at your own mistakes. Even if you run into a problem, show respect for and interest in the other person and the culture they come from. They will recognize and appreciate your sincerity, and that is one of the most important things in cross cultural communication. Based on the text, which of the following best fits in the blank? We would say tricky. Find the reference. What does that refer to? That is one of the most important things. Talking with sincerity, right? So, your sincerity. Put a check next to true or false. Even people from the same culture might interpret humor differently. That is true. As long as you show your sincere interest in the other, your jokes will be mostly accepted, was not never mentioned. Now let's answer the questions. Make sure you solve them and check answers together. If the question is difficult, you may solve it together with me. Number 1. What is the topic of the passage? Yes, how to communicate well with people from other cultures. 2. What should you do when you're not sure of what is appropriate in cross-cultural setting? Yes. See, you should watch and do whatever the other person does. You should wait. Which of the following was advised by the author for effective communication? Yes, answer is A. Give the person enough time to express their ideas fully. For according to the author, jokes are dangerous because C. Humor can be perceived differently across cultures. 5. According to the passage, which of the following is the best way to phrase a question? C. What questions do you have about this program? Now, A and B are yes or no questions, which the author said that yes or no questions are not a good way. Let's expand our ideas. Number 1. Imagine you have an American friend who will visit Korea for a business meeting with a Korean buyer. The friend wants to know some basic business etiquette in Korea. What advice will you give your friend? Explain what is or is not acceptable in Korean culture with examples. Here goes my example. You may pause the video and read my example and write your own. Actually, I'll read it for you. Koreans usually feel comfortable when they're around people of a similar age and status or hierarchy. That's because we express our respect for the elderly in both verbal and nonverbal communication. So I would teach my friend who's visiting Korea for the first time about our manners first. For example, we usually wait our turn until an elder or a person with a higher status initiates the matter at hand. 2. In the Persian culture, it is considered impolite for a house guest to say yes to the host's first offer. Before the host and the guest reach a genuine agreement, the offer has to be rejected several times. How does this compare to your own culture? Are they similar or different? Explain. Okay, here goes my answer. I think the Korean culture is quite similar to the Persian culture in terms of rejecting a generous offer out of politeness. I usually say no to an unexpected offer at first and then eventually accept it so that I don't hurt my friend's feelings. Do a self-checklist after you write. So, this part should be really, really important because it is all about writing. That writing pages should be done at home. Again, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Let me know. That writing homework shouldn't take that much, it shouldn't be that difficult, but it's really about different cultures mixing together. Think about how Korean culture is also very important, and by learning about these different cultures, we understand our cultures and their cultures, so we understand the world a lot better, students. So please do your best and do your self-check, and I will meet you on Wednesday. Okay, see you.